All right, guys, live stream should be starting up right now. Happy Thursday. We have NBA today. We have NFL action. It's going to be a long day at DFS, but super excited to talk about this NBA slate as well as NFL. If you guys are interested in NFL, we have a showdown slate later. I'll be live for that as well, 30 minutes before lock. So, two live streams coming at you guys. I figured we'd do a full hour for this one since there's 7 games. So, if you guys are new to the channel, new to the live stream, thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. How this works is we'll take a look at what we know so far. What's going on, guys? We will monitor news. Again, I'll keep an eye in chat. I'll give kind of a player-by-player breakdown with each team, and then we'll get to questions at the end. So, again, we have an hour. Should have enough time for a good amount of questions at the end. All right, let's do it. So, let's review what we know. And let me just refresh this. I think I'm at the most recent tweet. So Orlando, Coach Clifford said the rotation will be tighter in the final 2 preseason games to give the regular season guys bigger minutes. I mean, Vucevic, again, he already played 30-plus minutes the last game. He looks like a really solid spend-up, but you're going to have to make some tough calls with the spend-ups on the slate. You can only get 2 or 3 of them, and there's a lot of good options. So Hornets starters, they said also the minutes will go up to like 25 plus. We have Gordon Hayward out, Cody Martin starting for him. Not a ton of interest in either of the Martins, to be honest. They're lower usage guys. Casey says same starting lineup for the Pistons. Rotation might change though. So, what does that mean? I don't know exactly. But really, I don't have a ton of interest in Detroit at the moment. Eric Pascal will play for Golden State. We don't have words on a possible minutes limit for him. So we'll see on that. Smaldrich is out. Still no Draymond and no Wiseman. For the Wizards, Scott Brooks says Beal will play 8 minutes in the first quarter and then 6 or 7 in the second quarter. So about 15 minutes, and then that's it. So Beal is not in play tonight. Does hurt the rest of the Wizards as well, because Beal, when he's out there, is going to be the guy that demands all that usage. Again, Magic starters, we have Fultz, Fournier, Bacon, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic. Ross will play, but will be on a minutes limit, so not super interested in a guy like Terrence Ross. So Wizards starters, again, Beal, he'll play 15 minutes. We have Neto, we have Bonga, we have Mo Wagner, we have Thomas Bryant in the starting lineup, and Rui is out. So, we'll talk about the Wizards. There's, a couple viable cheap plays with the Hawks. Capella is probable. I think he looks like one of the better options tonight at 5.5K at center. Herter probable, as well as Reddish. Again, I don't think that really affects Bogdan too much. I still think he plays 25 to 30 minutes. I still think he's a pretty solid option if you need someone cheap. Luke Walton said he tried to get Marvin Bagley back in the game in the fourth, but the training staff said no. They're limiting him. So we'll see. I mean, he only played 15 minutes the last game. I would assume the minutes go up, but by how much is the question. So that's a tough one, right? Because Bagley is underpriced. He's 4.1K. If we can get like 20, 25 minutes out of Bagley, I think he looks like a pretty decent, cheap option. Let's see. Okay, we went over that. James Riggle said, spread out Hayward's minutes to the Martins, Malik Monk, and Jalen McDaniels. But the Hornets as a team, not a team I'm really, really excited about. Now, big news that we did get was John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins are out for rest in the preseason finale. So that makes James Harden one of the better spend-ups if we're going to get like 25 to 30 minutes out of Harden, right? So we don't know that yet. That's not confirmed with James Harden and the minutes. So this will be something to monitor. I believe it's the 7 o'clock Central lock for that game. So got to keep an eye on that one. Because then it's like, if we get let's just say 25 minutes out of Harden, then you got to make a tough call of do you prefer 25 minutes out of Harden versus 33 minutes out of Trae Young or 35 minutes out of Vucevic, right? So this will be something to keep an eye on for sure. Borrego said he anticipates to play his top 10 players in a rotation, a minimum of 25 minutes in each of the last 2 preseason games. And then for NFL content, again, we'll go over this in the live stream later for that, but Mike Williams looking like doubtful, and there's a decent chance Keenan Allen doesn't play either. Okay, we already went over that, and that is kind of what we know so far. Again, guys, if I miss anything, let me know. I'll keep an eye on I'll keep an eye on the chat. But let's refresh this really quick to see if we miss anything. All right, I don't think there's been any other news that I've missed. So let's start with the first game tonight. Real quick though, I will ask guys, if you enjoy this content, hit that like button. I know it's annoying when I ask, but it does help me out a ton. So hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You're going to try to hit 7K before the end of the year. I think it's doable. So again, always aim high. But yeah, if you enjoy, hit that like button. It helps me out a ton. All right, so let's talk about Charlotte. Again, no Gordon Hayward. So we have Graham at 6'1", Rozier 5'6", PJ Washington 5'1", Bridges at 4'8", LaMelo at 4'8". These guys are in play. The value, again, the Martins, I know they're min price, but they're going to be low usage guys when they're out in the court. So I think there's better value on the slate than to go to either of them. Not saying they're out of play, but I just think I look elsewhere. With Graham and Rozier, it's just tough for me to get to them because I want to fit 3 stars in my lineup. And the only way you can fit like 3 stars in your lineup is then you got to go scrubs. You got to go the stars and scrubs build, which I think you should on this slate, just because there's a good amount of viable cheap plays, and when we can get like 30 plus minutes out of some of these stars in really good spots, take advantage of it. So yeah, the price points makes it hard for me to get to rank Graham or Rozier. Washington is a little bit cheaper at 5'1". Again, he had a nice game that last time out. He's the guy that can stuff the stat sheet. They want to run him small ball 5 a little bit too. So I think it's him and LaMelo Ball. You can make the argument for Bridges too. Like, these guys are cheap enough that I think they're in play. Washington, Bridges, LaMelo Ball. I expect probably high 20s minutes for these guys. So yes, these guys are in play. Washington, Bridges, Ball. I have no issue if you land on any of those 3. Am I like super excited to jam these guys in? No, but they are like for a last piece, a filler. I think they're perfectly fine options. So the cheaper guys for Charlotte are in play. Below that, like, I don't want to play Biyombo or Cody Zeller. I just don't think we have to do it. So yeah, that's kind of what I got here for the first game in Charlotte. Let's move on to Orlando. So with the Magic, again, we know that the starters, they said they want to extend them even more. Well, Vucevic in that last game played 33 minutes. He had 14 points, 15 boards. I assume we probably get around 35 minutes from Vucevic. And that is like really, really good. We can project over 30 minutes for a starter. Vucevic is one of the top spend-ups of the slate. Again, it brings into question. We have Vucevic. We have Harden with no Boogie and with no John Wall. We have Trae Young, 30-plus minutes. We have John Morant, probably 30-plus minutes. We have Cat with no D'Angelo Russell, probably 30-plus minutes. We have Luka Doncic, who they said they're going to give good run to, 30-plus minutes with no Porzingis. We have Steph Curry on a depleted Golden State roster. So those are the stars I like. You can only pick 3. You got to make some tough calls. It's really tough, but Vucevic is definitely one of the better spend-ups of the slate for sure. I expect 35-plus minutes. He's a guy that can go out and get you 40 to 50 fantasy points in that time. So I do like Vooch. I like the matchup too against Zeller or Biyombo or PJ Washington, whoever they have on him. Vooch should be able to eat. So like him a good amount. Gordon's the one guy that they've kind of took easy on his minutes. Now, he's been super productive when he's been out there, but I don't want to take a shot at him at 6'6". Terrence Ross is back, but they said they're going to limit him, so I'm not really interested there. I don't think I'm going to get to Fournier at 5'2". I mean, the minutes will be there. I think he's fine if that's like a last piece in your lineup, but I'm not going out of my way to play Fournier. Fultz at 6K, it's just a tricky price, right? It just, how can I get to Fultz when I'm going to play 3 of those stars? You just can't. So, like, for me, like, basically all the guys in the mid-range, in, like, the mid-5s to, like, 7K range, are basically just out of play because I can't get to them if I'm jamming in 3 stars into my lineup. So I'm not saying Fultz is a bad play. I think he gets over 30 minutes. He's a guy that is a good shooter. Has been pretty solid here in the preseason. I think he's a good option. But again, I just really like that stars and scrubs build tonight. So with that being said, I just can't prioritize him. The other options, MCW and Cole Anthony, are viable. They were playing high 20s minutes off the bench. The one concern is Ross is back, so I think the minutes go down a bit on them, but they're still viable. Like MCW stuffs the stat sheet. Cole Anthony, I mean, he's been pretty aggressive when he's out there. So these two guys, kind of like the cheap Charlotte guys, are in play for sure. All right, first game done. Let's see if we miss anything. Okay, I don't think so. I'll refresh this again. Again, guys, if I do miss anything, let me know in the chat. But I think we're safe to, let's see. In addition to the starters, Markelle Fultz, Fournier, Bacon, okay, Cole Anthony, Kem Birch, Michael Carter-Williams, Gary Clark, blah, 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 will play tonight. Clark will play in this. Okay. That doesn't do a ton for us. Kind of what we expected. Okay, that's just about the crowd. And I think we are good. Yep. Okay. Let's move on to Detroit. So, Detroit's a team I don't have a ton of interest. We don't have anything definitive on, minutes. We have their starting lineup. They've kind of been limiting the minutes for these Pistons guys, like low 20s minutes. With Rose, with Griffin, I like the prices, but I just don't expect a ton of run for these guys. Again, they're veterans. I would say probably about similar to what we get, like 8 high teens to maybe 20 minutes for D Rose, probably 23 to 25 minutes for Blake Griffin. For me, I would rather have Blake of the two, and I think he can have like a pretty solid game in 25 minutes, but again, we don't have anything definitive on the minutes, so Blake Griffin's probably my favorite play here for Detroit, but definitely not a must play in this one. Let's see. Killian Hayes at 4.7, I think he goes overlooked. Again, he's been getting some decent run. Has not been playing the best, but I think we can expect, probably 25 or so minutes for a starting point guard at 4.7. It's playable in a decent spot here against Washington. Plumlee, Grant, they've been disappointing so far. Grant's at 4.5. That is pretty cheap, but I think I like some other value plays a little bit better. And then below that, really, Detroit's kind of a team I'm just not really on. Like Okafor probably gets 15 minutes off the bench. He's a decent point per minute guy, but center is pretty loaded. We have Kat, we have Vucevic, we have Capella in the mid-range. So, yeah, there's really not a ton I like here for Detroit. If we move on to Washington, not a lot I like for Washington either. This game is kind of a stay away from me. Westbrook's out. Beal's going to play limited minutes. But again, when he's out there, it affects everyone else because Beal's going to shoot the ball a ton. Troy Brown at 6'4", got like low 20s minutes. I just don't think it's a must in this slate. Thomas Bryant at 6'3", hard for me to prioritize him when you have Kat with no D'Lo, when you have Vucevic for probably 35 or so minutes, when you have Capella at 5'5" for probably around 30 minutes. So, yeah, I cannot prioritize Bryant over those centers I just mentioned. Ish Smith at 5'4", again, he's back, so that does kind of affect everyone else here. He'll play. He's a higher usage guy. Like, he's aggressive on the offensive end, but again, that hurts like everyone else in this team. The rookie Denny at 4'3", you can play him. I think he gets mid-20s minutes. I don't think it's the worst play. Mo Wagner too, starting, but he's at center. And again, we just went over some really good center plays. So all in all, really, Washington, like Detroit, is kind of a fade. There's just not a ton I'm super interested in. Sekou, yeah, I'm not really looking to Sekou either. Towns better than Vooch. It's close. That one, again, that's a really, really close call with Towns versus Vooch. And the reason I say it is because Towns only played 27 minutes the last game. Vucevic, he played 33. And we have confirmed news that the minutes are going to go up for Orlando. So I think mid to high 30s minutes is in play for Vooch. Whereas Kat, there's nothing definitive. Like, he could just play 27 minutes again. And then, right? So, again, it's a tough call. Yeah, Neto's at 4'6". He's starting. Both Ish Smith there with Beal in the lineup. I'm not really looking to him. So, yeah, there's really, this game is kind of a cross-off for me. I just don't like a lot here. So let's move on to San Antonio and Houston, guys. So with the Spurs, we don't have anything definitive yet, or at least I haven't seen anything on Twitter on starters news. That last game that kind of limited the veterans a bit. Again, this is a wait and see. Hopefully we get some sort of clarity, with DeRozan, with DeJounte, with LaMarcus Aldridge. I think they're decent plays in the mid-range. I do. But there's nothing, again, out there that like, oh, they're going to play 25 to 30 minutes or they're going to treat this like a dress rehearsal. At least I haven't seen it. I could have missed, but I haven't seen anything yet on these Spurs guys. So at the moment, it's just kind of like stay away. But if we do get news, right, you always got to be on top of news and willing to make changes. If we get news that the Spurs are going to treat this like a dress rehearsal, then like these three guys look pretty good at the top. The other options, Gay at 5K, he's actually been getting a decent run. Like if he continues to get 25 minutes, I don't think he's the worst play there as a cheaper option. Again, the matchup's pretty solid here. Guys like Lonnie, guys like Vassell off the bench, the younger guys, if the Spurs do, rest or like don't push the veterans, then you probably want to look to Walker, Vassell off the bench, even Trey Lyles. So Spurs at the moment, it's kind of just a pass. Just wait on news, right? We got to see if we do get something definitive on these guys. So, yeah, at the moment, it's kind of wait and see. If the starters do get extended a bit, these guys are more viable. If they're going to kind of take it easy on the veterans again, then it's Lonnie, it's Vassell, it's Trey Lyles that I think are in play. On the Houston side, so this is where things get really interesting. Okay, so we have John Wall and Boogie already confirmed out. Those are two super high usage guys out of the offense. We have Christian Wood, questionable. We'll see. If he's out, we got the last man standing here in James Harden at 9-1. Now, he did only play 20 minutes, so we'll see on the minutes. Hopefully, we get some sort of clarity. If we're going to get like close to 30 minutes out of James Harden with all three of those main guys out of the lineup, I think he is one of the top plays of the slate for sure. I do think he will be pretty popular tonight. And if we don't get clarity on minutes, I think you can make the argument to fade. And the reason I say that is there could be a chance he only plays 20 minutes again. And then you probably don't want Harden. You probably want Trae Young. You probably want Vooch. You probably want Cat. You probably want Luka. You probably want Ja for more minutes. So Houston lineup is out. Christian Wood confirmed starting. Okay. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Let me refresh that. Okay, Christian Wood, Harden, Gordon, House, Tucker will start. Let's see if we got anything on minutes. Let's see. If you guys see anything on minutes, let me know. Again, we might not get anything. So this will be a situation kind of like the Thunder, right? Thunder, everyone assumed, including myself, they would play in the second half. The only guy I was iffy about was Horford. And, well, starters didn't play in the second half. So there's a chance, if we don't get any clarity, that Harden only plays 20 minutes again. And then you probably don't want him. And we don't have any, I don't see anything yet, at least, with minutes. So a tricky one with Harden for sure. Guys, we are at over 600 viewers. If you do enjoy this content, please hit that like button. Let's aim for 250 likes on this live stream. I would really, really appreciate that. So, okay, back to Harden again. So, tricky, right? Hopefully we get clarity on minutes, but there is some risk. Again, he's only played one game, and he only played 20 minutes in that game. So, minutes are in question for Harden. If I knew he was going to play 30 minutes, I would probably play him tonight. But we don't know that for sure. Now, Christian Wood at 7-3, how many minutes does he get, right? He's been out every single game so far. So, tough, right? I think Houston is kind of a wait and see at the moment. I really do hope we get clarity on this with Harden and Wood and their minutes. Gordon at 5-3. I mean, he will probably be the number 3 in the offense with Boogie and Eric Gordon out, and John Wall out. The issue with Eric Gordon is, again, at times he is scoring dependent, but he should have to do more on the offensive end. I think he actually is in play if you need someone cheap. The other options are probably passes like Caboclo would have been viable, or would have been a pretty solid value play if Wood was out. With Wood in, that last game, Caboclo with Cousins in only played 14 minutes, so he's not out of play, but would have liked him a lot more if Wood was out. Tate at 4-1, he had a nice game the last time out, but I'm not like overly excited about that either. Is Wood viable? It depends on news. It does. I like at 7-9, I'm gonna say, or 7-3, I'm gonna say no at the moment. But if they're gonna run him out there close to 30 minutes, then yeah, he's viable. It just, again, hopefully we get some clarity on that. With the Hawks, this is probably this and Minnesota Dallas are my two favorite games to target, and I think you want exposure to these two games. Trae Young at 8.5, I think is one of the best spend ups of the slate. He played over 30 minutes at last game, had 21, 7, 4, and a steal. We know this guy has enormous upside. And again, I feel more comfortable with Trae Young's minutes than I do Harden's at the moment. So, right, you got to make tough calls. Again, we don't know what with Harden's minutes, but Trae Young, he played over 30 minutes, so I feel like we're going to get probably at least 30 in this one. Brandon Clark confirmed playing tonight. Okay, that doesn't do a ton, to be honest. Kind of just take Gorgie Jang out of play. What about Brown with Clemens out? Not really. Wagner starting. Yeah, Wagner is in play for value, but not super excited about it. Back to Atlanta. So again, really like Trae Young. He's one of my favorite spend ups this slate. John Collins with Capella playing. I think John Collins is still in play, but I would rather just get to Trae Young for a little bit more. So, and you can play both. You can play Trae. You can play John Collins. Again, you can feel pretty good about these guys' minutes, right? We saw it with Chicago yesterday. Levine and Kobe White both crushed. So you can play Trae and John Collins together if you want to. I'm not paying $6K for Gallinari. I just think that's too pricey for him. Now, Clint Capella at 5.5, I think is one of the better plays of the slate. I think he, at the moment, is probably my favorite value play if you consider this value. He's the guy in the mid-range I really, really like. And the reason being, he played 27 minutes that last game. In the first game, he played like low 20s minutes. It's just a minutes thing, right? If we're probably going to get close to 30 from Capella. And at 5.5, that's just underpriced, especially in this matchup too. Like Jonas Valanciunas is not a good defender. So I think Clint Capella is one of the best plays of the slate there, 5.5K. What's up, guys? What's up, Marcus? How's it going, man? Anything in Pistons minutes? We don't have anything confirmed there. He said Harden will play a little more than last time. Can you get? It's the ESPN story just came out. The Rockets expanding Harden. Okay, can you link me that? Where I don't see that Harden news. Would 20 minutes Harden, little more than last time. No one will play. Okay. Thank you. Did that news just come out, guys? That Harden news. Thank you for putting that in the chat. I really appreciate the help. Okay, yeah, Brandon Clark. Let me retweet this. Okay, cool. Thank you. We did get this. Minutes restrictions for core Rockets players per Coach Silas. Wood, 20 minutes. Harden, a little more than last time. No one will play more than 30. This is huge news. Thankfully, we got this news. So, Harden at 9.1K. I'm guessing we get 25. I think it's a pretty fair guess. He got 20 last time, a little more than last time. I think that would be about 25 minutes for James Harden. So, it's tough because fading James Harden is so scary with no John Wall, no Boogie Cousins. But at the moment, I think I prefer other spend-ups. I feel more comfortable with the minutes in other guys, right? So I'm not saying Harden's out of play, right? You just have to make a tough call. Do you like 25 minutes out of James Harden better than low 30s minutes from Luka, low 30s minutes from Trae Young, 35 minutes from Vucevic, probably 30 minutes from John Morant? Again, I think I give the edge to those other stars. I do. But back to Atlanta. So, talked about Trae Young. I do really, really like him at 8.5K. Mentioned Collins as well. Again, Capella, one of my favorite plays in the mid-range. I also like Bogdan quite a bit. Sure, Herter's playing, Reddish is playing, but I expect mid to high 20s minutes from Bogdan. 4.8K just seems a little bit underpriced. And again, this is a good matchup, so I like a lot here for Atlanta. Again, it's Trae Young. I think John Collins is a good option because minutes seem pretty secure. I really like Capella at that price. And then Bogdan. Those four guys, like I think you can play at least two of those guys if you want to. Minutes for Rockets, yeah, so we just kind of went over that. No one's going to play over 30. Wood is limited to 20, and Harden will play a little more than last time. So I expect about 25 minutes for Harden, I think is a fair guess. Let's move on to Minnesota. So Minnesota, what we do know is there's no D'Angelo Russell. So this is pretty big news. With no D'Angelo Russell, I think Karl Anthony Towns at 8.2K looks like, again, one of the better spend-ups of the slate. He played 27 minutes that last time out. We don't have anything definitive on the minutes. We haven't really, for Minnesota games, we haven't really got anything definitive for minutes, so it's going to be kind of a guess, but I think we probably get around 30. Around 30 minutes from Cat, I think, is a pretty fair guess. And 30 minutes of Cat with no D'Angelo Russell against Dallas, 8.2K, I think that looks really good. Like I said, though, you're just going to have to make tough calls. There's 3 really good centers tonight. We have Vucevic, we have Towns, we have Capella. You can only play 2. You don't have to. You can play 1 if you want to, and then go guards. Like, I think tonight you either play 2 centers in like the utility, or you play 3 point guards. I did skip Memphis. Good call. Thank you. Again, it's been kind of a long day, but all right, Memphis. Let's talk about Memphis. Starters for the Grizzlies played mid-20s minutes. Ja Morant has been on fire these first couple of games, and this matchup is great. I'll say the same thing about Minnesota. There's no news on minutes yet. So what do I expect? I would say, again, 28 to 30 minutes is a pretty fair guess. Ja is definitely in play here at 8.7K. Again, he has been phenomenal. JV at 8.4 is not out of play, but I just prefer those other centers. I prefer Vooch. I prefer Karl Anthony Towns. I prefer Capella. Triple J is still out. Brandon Clark is playing, but how many minutes does he play is in question. I think they do limit him. If I knew he was going to play 20-plus minutes, then I would think he's one of the better value plays. But I think they do limit his minutes. A little bit worried there. Okay, so other options on Memphis. Dylan Brooks had a nice shooting game that last time out, but the price is just tricky at 6'2". And again, he can be scoring dependent at times. He does have a low floor. When his shot's falling, the ceiling is high on him, but the floor is low. I don't really like playing those type of players. I like the guys that stuff the stat sheet, so when they're struggling shooting, they can still have a decent night. And when they do shoot well, they crush. The value here for Memphis, like again, they play like 20 minutes. They play a bunch of guards like 20 minutes. Like D'Anthony Melton, Conchar, Grayson Allen, Tyus Jones. Probably one of those guys has a decent game. I don't think they're terrible value, but it's kind of hard to nail down which one's going to have a good game. So really for me, Memphis, it's Ja is my favorite play at 8.7. JV is fine, but I do prefer other options at similar prices. And then there's some value, but nothing I'm like really, really excited about. Steph Curry out. Is he out? That obviously changes things if he is. Well, let me go here. Bear with me, guys. We still have 30 minutes. We still have a good amount of time, so don't worry. Capella minutes. Capella played 27 the last time out. I expect close to 30. Let me put this in the search bar here because I don't see anything yet on Steph. Yeah, I think that's Steph news, or whoever put that in the chat. That's hashtag fake news. That's Steph news. It's not true. At least I don't see it. So, whoever did that is trolling. Funny, but that's hashtag fake news. So, back to now. Let's get to Minnesota again. Mention Cat again. Really like him at the top. You're gonna have to make some tough calls with those spend ups. The value here is where I think. This is where I think the best value is with Minnesota. Yeah, definitely trolling there. But this is where I think the best value is. So no D'Angelo Russell. I probably expect Rubio to start. And I think we get mid-20s minutes from Rubio at 4.7K. He's the guy that stuffs the stat sheet. I think Rubio is a really, really solid value play. Ricky Rubio, that is. I also like Anthony Edwards quite a bit at 4.6. The rookie, he's been playing mid-20s minutes. He's been shooting the ball a decent amount when he's out there. I expect about the same, maybe more minutes for him. I also really like Malik Beasley at 4.5K. He struggled the last game out, but this is a guy that, when he was healthy last year, he was putting up some big games. Like, he at times was the number 2 with the offense. And again, I think a fair guess is like mid-20s minutes for these guys, maybe even more if no D'Angelo Russell. So I really like these Minnesota guys for value. I think they're my favorite value plays. Rubio, Anthony Edwards, Malik Beasley. I like all three quite a bit here. The other options, there's still some. We'll see what they do with the starting lineup. But, a guy like Culver off the bench is not out of play at 4-1. I expect decent run for him. A guy like Juancho Hernan-Gomez. He's been, he's a good offensive player. Off the bench, he's been playing about 15 to 20 minutes in the preseason. If we can expect maybe 20 to 25 from him, I think he's definitely in play too. So this is where I look to for value. It's Minnesota. These are my favorite value plays of the moment. So like Rubio, Edwards, Beasley, Hernan-Gomez, Culver. Especially like if we get news that the starters will get extended, then I have even more interest. So I do really, really like these Minnesota guys for value. Is Capella playing? Yep, we got confirmed news with Capella. Yeah, sorry guys, that Curry message was fake news. Let's talk about Dallas now. So I have this up still if you missed the video yesterday, but Carlisle said versus a dress rehearsal, or will it be a dress rehearsal? He said it's not going to be an exact replica of opening night. It'll likely move a little bit more in that direction. And in that last game, Luka played, I think, 29 minutes. So I'm not expecting like 38 minutes from Luka, but what I am expecting is about low to mid 30s. So I think like 32, 33 is a pretty fair guess. And at the moment, he is the spend up I feel the most comfortable with. Reason being is we have news on minutes, right? So the minutes are going to go up from 29. That's for sure. There's no Kristaps Porzingis. This guy can absolutely crush. He's going to be high owned. Like, he is going to be the chalk tonight. I'm fine eating the chalk. I'll get different elsewhere. I'm playing Luka Doncic. I think he, at the moment, is the best spend up of the slate with no Porzingis, with minutes confirmed, in a great matchup. Love Luka today. I think you play him and get different elsewhere. Don't get cute with this one. Same thing I said with Giannis like 3 or 4 slates ago. Play him and move on. That's what I'm saying with Luka Doncic. Get different elsewhere. I really, really like Luka Doncic. Again, that's not a contrarian take. He's going to be in the high dollar stuff. I would say 80 to 90% owned. He's going to be the absolute chalk. But I'm playing him. I'm getting different elsewhere. The other options, I think Josh Richardson in the mid-range is actually in play. He's kind of been their number 2 so far offensively. That last game, he had 23, 7, and 2. Now, I wouldn't expect that type of stat line again, but I think we probably get over 30 minutes from Jay Rich. He's an aggressive guy in the defensive end. He gets you the blocks, the steals. Again, this is a good matchup. So I don't know if he's going to be super popular, but kind of like Capella, I really like Josh Richardson in the mid-range. Like, those two probably are two of my favorite plays if you're looking for guys in the mid-range. I don't even mind Hardaway Jr. at 4.8K. I don't think he's going to be super popular. He is, again, scoring dependent, but he played 27 minutes the last game. I expect probably about 30 from him. I think this is too cheap for Tim Hardaway Jr. So, he is in play as well. Below that, DFS is a lower usage guy, but he's been getting some good run. I think he is viable too. So, again, this Minnesota, Dallas, and Atlanta, Memphis, these are the 2 games I want a lot of exposure to. Below that, though, like the bigs are kind of splitting minutes. I don't think I'm going to get to Powell over those centers we mentioned. And the value below that, I'm kind of off. So it's Luka at the top, my favorite spend up, the guy I feel the safest about. I think Richardson definitely in play in the mid-range. I think THJ for value actually looks good, even though he's scoring independent, just because minutes, right? Minutes are everything, and I think we get over 30 minutes from THJ. Young or Curry. That's close. Now, I do feel a little bit more comfortable with Trae Young's minutes. So at the moment, I'm going to go Trae. But I'm not saying Steph's out of play. So now let's finish it up we have 2 more games left. Golden State, Sacramento. Steph Curry at 8.1K. If this will load. Come on. He played, 28 minutes the last game. He got hot. He had 29 real-life points. Again, the offense is going to run through Steph with them missing Draymond and them missing Klay Thompson. And I don't know if Steph's going to be super, super popular. Again, like I said, there's about like 7 or 8 spend-ups that look really good. You can only play 3 of them. So got to make tough decisions at the top. I mentioned that I'm playing Luka, so that only leaves 2 more stars you can get. Right? You got to make tough calls. But Steph at 8-1, I think, is one of the better spend-ups of the slate. Has enormous upside. We know he can get hot behind the three-point line. The matchup's good against Sacramento. So, I do really like Steph if you can get to him. The other options in Golden State, I'm not getting to Wiggins at 6'7" in the mid-range. I'm going to pass on Oubre as well. It's just a tough range for me to get to. Marquise Chris, I'm going to pass on as well. I just prefer Capella at the exact same price. We have Pascal playing. They have Looney as well. So hard for me to project a ton of minutes from Marquise Chris. He is a good point per minute guy, but I would rather play Capella. The bench guys haven't been getting a ton of run. Like, they've been spreading it out. Wanamaker, Bazemore, like mid-teens minutes. There's really not a ton I like else on Golden State. So I would say it's kind of Steph, and that's it for me. Let's move on to Sacramento. So Fox, Hield, 7-5 and 7-2 respectively. They've been playing high 20s minutes. These are guys that are, productive, but it just, I cannot recommend these guys over those stars we've already went over, right? Like, how am I going to play De'Aaron Fox over Luka Doncic for $1,500 more? Or Trae Young at a pretty similar price I'm more confident with his minutes? Or Vucevic, who I think plays 35 or so minutes. I cannot get to these guys. They're nothing more than contrarian plays. They're not out of play, but I cannot recommend these guys with confidence with the other stars in the slate. The other guys, Whiteside crush in limited time, but he's priced up to 5.7. I would just rather play Capella at a similar price. Holmes is not out of play. He would probably be my 4th favorite center. But again, I feel more comfortable with Capella and his minutes at a similar price. I'm not going to get to Bjelica. With Halliburton, again, the kind of limited Halliburton. That last game, I expect the minutes to go up, but by how much is the question? I would say mid-20s minutes for Halliburton, 4.4K. I think it's viable. Barnes is a stand in the corner, shoot threes guy, a 3 guy. He has to hit his shots to hit value. I'm not going to Glenn Robinson. The last guy I want to mention here, I think is the most interesting, is Marvin Bagley, 4.1K. He was limited to 15 minutes. Now, again, the question is just how many minutes does he play? I would say they go up, but by how much? I think a fair guess is about 20. So 20 minutes out of Marvin Bagley at basically min price against Golden State. I think that looks like one of the better value options. Now, if we get news that he's only going to play 15 again, then not as much. Again, minutes are crucial. If we get 20 to 25 minutes from Bagley, then I think he's one of the better value plays of the slate. All right, let's move on to Utah and the Clippers. Jazz starters actually got decent run that last game. They got minutes, mid to high 20s. But the same thing I'll say with Fox and with Buddy Hield. It's just I can't prioritize Mitchell or Gobert when there's just other options I like a little bit more. Right? With Gobert, I prefer Vooch. I prefer Towns. I prefer Capella. With Donovan Mitchell, I prefer Luka. I prefer Trae Young. I prefer John Morant. So, yeah, there are more contrarian plays with Mitchell and Gobert. Conley at 5.2, I think it's actually okay for value if you need someone in that range. Bojan at 4.9, the price isn't bad. Again, he is kind of scoring dependent. I actually think he is in play for value. Clarkson as well off the bench. I expect 20 to 25 minutes from him. He's a higher usage guy. So I think the value is where I'd look to for Utah. That being Bojan, that being Clarkson, that being Conley. Am I going to jam in any of these guys? No, but they're definitely in play if you need someone cheap. And yeah, that's really it for Utah. Finally, Clippers. Let's talk about them. So really no one's been playing more than 20 minutes in these preseason games with the Clippers. So Kawhi, Paul George at the moment are passes for me. If we get news that they're going to get 25 to 30 minutes, I think you can make the argument for Paul George just because of the price point. But again, at the moment, I'm not really looking to either of them. Give me one sec, guys. Same thing with kind of the rest of the starters. It's a pass for now. Things could change, but Ibaka at 5'6", not super confident with the minutes. Everyone else, again, kind of stay away. I think you can make the argument for Zubac and Mann just because the price points of 4-4 and 4-3 respectively. They've been playing like 15 to 20 minutes. Mann's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. Zubac, a good point per minute guy too. So you can look to them for value, but all in all, the Clippers are a team I don't like a ton at the moment. Again, things can change, but that's it. So let's see if we miss any news. Let me know, guys, if I miss anything in the chat. I will get to questions here in a sec. Luka breaks the slate. Yeah, I think Luka is one of the better value plays, or one of the best spend ups of the slate for sure. Probably the best or the safest spend up. Guys, we're almost at 800 viewers and 255 likes. Thank you. Rondo is available to play. That doesn't do a ton for me. To be honest, I don't think Rondo plays a ton. Herder's only Hawk with a minutes restriction. Okay, Trae Young, Bogdan. Okay, so they're starting Bogdan again. I actually kind of prefer him off the bench, Bogdanovich that is, but I expect, again, probably close to 30 minutes from him. I think he is one of the better cheap plays. And I think that is all we have. So let me try to give you guys a core. Yep, core. Let's do it. So I think at the moment, the best spend up of the slate is Luka Doncic, just because I feel the most comfortable with his minutes with no Kristaps Porzingis. I expect low to mid 30s minutes from Luka. I think he is the best spend up of the slate. At center, there's three plays I really like. Karl-Anthony Towns, Vucevic, Clint Capella. So you got to make tough calls. For me, I think I slightly prefer Towns to Vooch, but that's super, super close, and you're splitting hairs either way. So I think you try to get to one of those centers if you can. I'm going to go Towns here with no D'Lo, and again, I expect the minutes to go up. We don't have anything definitive. Like if we only get 27 minutes from Towns again, then Vucevic will probably outscore him. But if we get over 30 from Towns, I think there's a decent chance he will with no D'Lo in a good matchup. So I'm going to go Karl-Anthony Towns, and I'm also going to go Clint Capella. I just think at 5.5K, I expect around 30 minutes from him. I just think that's too cheap in a good matchup. Yeah, I think Capella is one of the best plays there in the mid-range. So Luka, Towns, Capella. Let's see, who else do I want to throw in there? I think I want to go with one of those Minnesota value pieces. So we went over like 4, right? I think you're going to want probably at least one of these guys. We have Rubio, we have Edwards, we have Beasley, even Hernan Gomez, even Culver. There's about like 5 guys here that are viable. Again, we have nothing definitive on news or for minutes for these guys, but I assume high 20s is a pretty fair guess, maybe even 30. So I am going to go with Malik Beasley at 4.5K because he is a proven player in this league. I know he had a bad game that last time out, but again, last year when he was healthy, he at times was like the number 2 in this offense. So that's what I'm going to go with for the core. I hope that helps you out, guys. We have 15 minutes until lock. So let's get some questions. I guess I should probably refresh this one more time, make sure I don't miss any news. But that is the core I'm going with. All right, I think that's it. Any Beasley love? Yeah, he's in the course. I do like Beasley a good amount. Beasley all day. Yep. Collins or DeRozan, please. So at the moment, it's John Collins, just because I feel more comfortable with the minutes. But Spurs guys could be in play if we do get some news on minutes there. Thoughts on Luka, Bogdan, Beasley, Bagley, Vooch, Curry, J. Rich, and Capella? I like that a lot. Favorite spend up besides Luka? Again, it's such a tough call there. That's a really good question. I'm going to go Towns. But there's other options, right? You have Vucevic. You have Trey. We have John Morant. You have Steph Curry. Harden, I'm a little bit concerned about just because I don't think he plays, again, about 25. Blake Griffin's in play. Bagley depends on minutes. I think he would be one of the better value plays if we do get extended. Wood or Collins for the minutes. Hardaway or Bogdan. For me, it's close, but I do prefer Bogdan. What's the core? Just went over it. Any Aaron Gordon or Collins tonight? I would rather have Collins. A little bit worried about Aaron Gordon's minutes. Best play under 4,300. Again, depends on news. If we get Bagley gets extended a bit, I think it is Marvin Bagley. But let's go over this again, guys. I'll probably miss some questions here. Hernan Gomez viable, right? I think minutes probably go up a bit on him. Looney's in play too, but again, center is kind of loaded. Trey Lyles potentially if the veterans get rested or don't play a ton. And then again, Bagley, if the minutes go up for him, I just think 4.1K is too cheap. So I will say Bagley, but if we only get 15 minutes again from him, then not so much. DFS or Jeremy Grant? Yeah, I feel a little bit better with DFS's minutes, but Grant's probably the better overall player. That one's close. That's basically a coin flip there. What do you think on ownership with Vooch and Cat? I think it's going to be pretty similar. How many minutes do you expect Trae Young to get with 3 guards coming back? I think 32 is a fair guess. Bagley or PJ Washington? PJ Washington didn't even get to him, right? You're going to feel better about the minutes for PJ Washington. The reason Bagley, I think, is in play is the price. What about Troy Brown? It's just a little bit too expensive for me, just because he only played low 20s minutes. We have Beal there with Ish Smith there. Terrence Mann, yes, he's in play, but if the starters get extended a bit, he could lose some minutes. You don't like Edwards over Beasley. That one's really close. I think you can play both if you want to. Trey or Steph. I think Trey probably plays a few more minutes, but man, that is so close. So close. That one's basically coin flip too. Again, there's I don't have a strong take on the stars. Culver, a good pick. He's going to go low owned. Culver's a contrarian play where I think the chalkier value for Minnesota is going to be Edwards, is going to be Beasley, but Culver's in play. Late pivot off Bagley, probably Looney at a similar price. Ja or Trey? I'm going to go Trey, but that is close. Ja, Trey. I'll go Trey. It is close. Just because the reason I say Trey is I feel a little bit more comfortable with his minutes. But Ja Morant has been absolutely crushing. Who do you like in the LA game? There's really not a ton I like in that game at the moment. It's Bagley limited. Who do you pivot to? I think Looney at a similar price. Any Cam Reddish, not for me. I'd rather play Bogdan. Capella or Griffin? It's Capella. Feel more comfortable with his minutes. Best forward, 5,500. Let's see. Forward, 5,500. I think Blake is a decent play. I think we get 25 or so minutes from him. I think PJ Washington looks pretty good. I think Rudy Gay, potentially. He's been getting decent minutes. And then Bogdan. That's probably where I look. Harden or Curry? It's Curry. I just feel better about the minutes for Curry than I do with Harden. Again, I got to mess with my lineup because I have Harden in. I'm probably going to do that after lock. What you can do, guys, is you can fade the first couple games so you have more time to more flexibility. And that is my plan, right? I'm fading these first 2 games. Now, the guy I'm the most scared about fading is Vooch in this first game. I'm really scared about fading Vucevic, but you can fade these first 2 games, and then you have another hour to get more news, right? To maybe get definitive news on Timberwolves starters or Memphis starters, or again, maybe there's some late scratches in these games, and there's more value plays in play. So I'm not saying to do that, but that's one way to go about the slate, and that's what I'm doing. Is I'm fading the first 2 games to leave myself more flexibility. Jay Rich or Eric Gordon? I'm gonna go Josh Richardson there. Vassell at 4-4 is in play for value. He's been getting good run. I think he does look pretty solid. Vassell or Bagley? So I think safer option at the moment is Vassell because the minutes. But if Bagley's minutes go up, I think he is a pretty good option. Top small forward, price doesn't matter. Small forward's a little bit tough. If price doesn't matter, then I'll say Buddy Hield because I think he plays about 30 minutes. But, again, I'm not playing Buddy. I prefer other stars. Yeah, Ja, Trey. Again, that's so close. I'm going to go Trey just because I feel a little bit more comfortable with his minutes. But I really like those guys. Tops. Okay, we already went over that. My lineup is Luka, Josh Richardson, Beasley, PJ Washington, Vooch, Curry, Bagley, Capella. I like that a lot. Thoughts on LaMelo Ball for value? Yeah, it's LaMelo, it's PJ Washington, it's Bridges that I think are pretty decent value plays. I don't think a ton of people get to them. I expect, mid-20s minutes for those guys. So I do like, I think they're good options. Capella should be on a minutes restriction coming off the Achilles injury. I disagree. He played 27 minutes that last game. Oubre or Josh Richardson? It's going to be Josh Richardson for me. Vooch or Curry? Again, with the guys at the top, it's just too hard for me to feel like really confident one way or the other. It's Luka. I think you play, and then you go with your gut with the other spend ups. So you got to make a tough call. I really don't have strong takes with the spend ups, like Cat versus Vooch. That's what I'm doing, but it's so close with Cat and Vooch. Again, there's a chance Cat only plays 27 minutes again. If that's the case, then you're probably going to want to go Vooch, but we won't get that news most likely. Eric Gordon or Blake? Yeah, that's a tough one. I'll go Blake Griffin. I think both probably play mid-20s minutes. I feel a little bit better with the usage for Blake. Luka, J. Rich, Beasley, Bagley, Vooch, Trae Young, Washington, Holmes. I think that's fine. Eric Gordon or Rudy Gay thoughts? Depends on Spurs. We don't have anything on the Spurs yet, so hard to say. I'll say Eric Gordon at the moment, but things could change. Wish Luka. I agree. I wish Luka had small forward eligibility too. Do you like Hornets +5 against the Magic? Don't have a strong take there. Okay, we already went over the top small forward price doesn't matter question. Dillon Brooks or Richardson? I feel better about J. Rich than I do Dillon Brooks just because he's more like an aggressive player. He fills up the stat sheet. Let's see. Gallo or Dillon Brooks? Minutes for Rajon Rondo. Gallo versus Dillon Brooks. Both are similar plays. Both, are kind of relying on scoring. I probably feel a little bit more better about the minutes for Brooks. So I'll go Brooks, and then minutes for Rondo, I would say 10 to 15. Culver or Bagley? Hard to say at the moment. Again, depending on Bagley news. Minutes. Hopefully we get some sort of clarity there. If we only get 15 minutes out of Bagley again, then that's basically a toss-up. If we get like 20 to 25 from Bagley, then it's Bagley for me. Bojan, Gay, or Washington? Washington there. Aaron Gordon's still in restriction. Nothing definitive, but I assume so. He's the one that's been getting limited the most. 4,700 left for forward. It's Beasley or Anthony Edwards for me. Steph and J. Rich or Trae and PJ Washington. Trae and PJ, but again, that's close. You said Rudy Gay is a play, right? Rudy Gay depends. It depends on news. If they kind of take it easy on the veterans again, then he's fine. If they do get extended a bit or they kind of use it like a dress rehearsal, then I think Rudy Gay is actually a pretty nice play. Again, already went over top small forward price doesn't matter. It's Buddy Hield if you can get to him. Beasley or Edwards? It's Beasley, but it's really close. I like both a good amount for value. DK thoughts? Luka, Bogdan, Vassell, PJ Washington, Towns, Trae, Beasley, Capella. Looks really, really good. Minutes for Capella, I think close to 30. He played 27 the last time out. Check Paul Garcia's Twitter. Okay. Let's see. Paul Garcia. Coach Pop says the starters will get more minutes than they have in the last two games. Okay. So this does make the Spurs more viable. How many minutes is in question, but I would say probably high 20s minutes. I think 25 to 30 is a pretty good guess for these Spurs minutes. Pop didn't say he was starting that, but I would assume. Okay, so this does make the Spurs more viable. I do feel a little bit better about Rudy Gay. I think he actually is a pretty nice play there in the mid-range. Rudy Gay, that is. I think you can look to DeJounte Murray. Really, you can make an argument for any of these starters. They're in the mid-range, so it might be a little bit difficult to get these guys, but I have interest in the Spurs now. In a good match against Houston, again, I expect Demi or Rudy. I feel better about Rudy Gay right now. Any idea in Christian Wood? They said 20 minutes. Not super interested there. Griffin, Vassell, or Bagley, favorite two. Again, it depends on Bagley news. At the moment, I'm going to say Griffin and Vassell if Bagley only plays 15 against Spurs starters. Yep. DK, does it worry you that Vassell won't get many minutes after the news? He's my last guy in. A little. He's been getting good run because starters are kind of getting limited. So how many minutes does he get? I would say 25 or so. Utah, Bog, or Minnesota, Edwards. It's close. I would rather go Edwards. Does Vucevic have a minutes restriction? No, he's going to play probably about 35. Aldridge seems like a nice fit. I think Aldridge is a good option. I do. These Spurs guys are a lot more viable here. Again, that's kind of why I left room. I'm just not playing anyone in the early games because I'm going to mess with my lineup after lock. Again, I have Harden in at the moment, but I'm going to be making some changes because I feel better about other spend-ups. With the Spurs news, does that impact Vassell? I think it makes him riskier. I do. I agree. I think like the minutes go down in him. So he's a little bit more risky now. Favorite shooting guard, 4,800 left, Bogdan. Paul George or DeMar DeRozan. At the moment, it's DeMar because I feel more confident with his minutes. Money, no issue, top 3 plays. Luka, Towns, and I would say Luka, Towns, and one of Trey, Ja, Steph, or Vooch, really. Like I don't have a strong take on the last one. Aldridge or Washington. Aldridge, you can get to him. I feel better about Aldridge if price doesn't matter. Do you like Gay or Bogdan or PJ? Yeah, that's really close in the mid-range. I think all 3 are pretty nice plays. DFS, Bagley or Grant. Again, it depends with Bagley. So I keep saying that. It depends with the minutes for him. Are you nervous for Bagley? I mean, if we don't get anything definitive on news, I might look elsewhere. Because if he only plays 15 again, I'm not as excited. Again, if the minutes do go up, I do like him. Should I swap Bagley out for Vassell? I don't have a strong take there. Again, I think the minutes do go down to Vassell, and we don't know the minutes for Bagley. So, tough call, really. PJ Tucker, not for me. Thoughts on Trae Young, Bogdan, Edwards, Washington, Vooch, Luka, Edwards, Capella. I really like that. Terry Rozier minutes, 25 to 28. Luka, Clarkson, Beasley, Washington, Vucevic, Young, Bagley, Capella. Looks good. Gay or Washington? That one's basically coin flip. I like Gay, I think, gets 25 or so minutes. I think 25 to 28 from Washington. Both are pretty decent point per minute guys, so I don't have a strong take there. Harden or Richardson? If price doesn't matter, it's still Harden because I expect probably 32 minutes from J-Rich, about 25 from Harden. So, yeah, Harden you can get to him, but I think Harden is more of a contrarian option with just the minutes. Gobert or DeRozan? I always, when it's close, I give the edge to the big. I think we probably get similar minutes for both of them. I think high 20s. Donovan Mitchell, he's a contrarian option this slate. Thoughts on Wagner starting? Yes, he's a value play I like, but he's at center, and center's pretty loaded. Rudy Gay, Morant, or J-Rich and Curry? J-Rich and Curry, but that's close. Culver, J-Rich, or PJ and Beasley? I'll go PJ and Beasley. Top 2 small forward in FanDuel. I'm sorry, I can't bring up FanDuel at the moment. Aldridge or Collins? That's really close. I'm going to go Collins because, again, I feel a little bit more comfortable with his minutes, but like I expect probably 32 to 33 minutes from Collins versus like 28 minutes on Aldridge. That's really close. Could you make the case to go Ja over Luka if you're playing 4 lineups? Yes. It's a risky fade, but you can. Ja Morant, Curry, or Young. I don't have a strong take here. I don't. I really don't. Ja and Steph or Ja and Harden. Ja and Steph. Caboclo, DFS, or Bagley. Minutes, I feel the most comfortable with DFS. I think the safest play is DFS. I expect about 15 minutes for Caboclo. Bagley, again, played 15 the last time. We don't have anything confirmed yet with him. So safest play is DFS because of the minutes. I expect probably about 30 minutes from DFS. Ja and Steph. Okay, it's Ja and Steph. DeLon Wright, thoughts of 4.2. He'll play about 20 minutes. He'll be a guy like 0.5% owned. He's fine. Beasley or Harden. Well, price doesn't matter, Harden. But Beasley, again, looks like one of the better value plays of the slate in my opinion. Lyles or Bagley. How many minutes do we get from Lyles is in question. Again, the starters' minutes will go up, so Lyles' minutes should go down. I know I've said this about 20 times, but depends on Bagley news, really. If we get 20 minutes from Bagley, I prefer him over Lyles. Thanks, DK. Started tuning in for live from this preseason. Very informative. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Do you like Bruno Caboclo? I think he plays 15 minutes. Not the worst value play, but I'm not prioritizing him. Do you like Caboclo? I just went over that like button. Needs smashing. Thanks, DK. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, we're almost at 300 likes. Guys, can we get to 300 before I get out of here? And like I said, I will be live again in like 45 minutes. So NFL, we have a game coming up. We have a showdown slate. We have money to be made. Stick with me, right? If you guys want to check out that showdown slate, I'll be live again, 6:50 Central, so about 15 minutes. Do you like Doncic, Bogdan, Beasley, Bagley, Vooch, Trey, Griffin, and Capella? I do. Lock, we are Buddy, DeRozan, or Aldridge. Aldridge. Great stream. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Again, I think we hit almost 800 concurrent viewers again. That's 3 straight days. First game locked. Really hope I don't regret fading Vooch. The reason I faded him is just I wanted a little bit more flexibility for these later games. So that's why I did. DK for the win again tonight. Love the content, best in the business. Thank you so much. Let's get it, boys. DK, what do you think about this? Doncic, Bogdan, Gay, Bagley, Towns, Young, Beasley, Capella. I like that. Is playing Towns, Beasley, and Hernangomez? No, you can play all three. I have 3 Minnesota Timberwolves in my lineup right now. Any prize picks for tonight? Yeah, I can go over to prize picks. Probably should have had that up. If you guys want to sign up for prize picks, you can use the code DKDFS. I'll have a link. The link is in the description below. 100% match up to $100. So they have Cat at 40. That seems about right. Trey at 41. Ja at 35. These seem about right. Yeah, I really don't have a strong take here. They're pretty accurate. I don't have like one player really like. 38% for Vooch. Again, I'm not super surprised about it. Let's go over some ownership. I'll go over ownership in the slam. So again, I don't have anyone going in these early games, and I told you guys the reason. I wanted some more flexibility. Markelle Fultz 9%, Bridges 2%. I'm guessing Vucevic is going to be pretty high owned in this. Edwards or DFS. Edwards. Vucevic is 45% owned. So, DK, you like playing Trey? I do. He's one of the better spend ups of the slate. Vooch, 45%. The rookie, Denny, was 11% owned. It depends. I'm going to mess with my lineup. I got to take Harden out, and I'm probably going to get... So, I have Luka and Towns in, and I want to get one of those guards of Steph or Trey or Ja Morant. And it's going to be a game-time decision for me with which one I go to. So it depends. Cody Barton, 3%. And I probably like the value a little bit better elsewhere. Steph or Ja, I don't have a strong take there. I'm sorry. I wish I did. But yeah, with like Steph and Ja and Trey, they're all so close. Harden a lock? No. I think he's just more of a contrarian play. Off the news we got, I think we get about 25 from Harden. Now, he can still crush. He can still get like 45 in that time, but I feel a little bit better with the minutes of the other guys. Team DK, let's get this money. Appreciate that. At least DK's free. Appreciate that. Stafford, yeah, I don't have a strong. PJ, 16%. Okay. PJ Washington, yeah, him, Bridges, and LaMelo Ball would be the guys I would look to there in the mid-range. Yep, I'll be live at, I think, 6:50 for the Thursday Night Football show on Slate. Mo Wagner, 12%. I get it. I do. Blake, 23%. Yeah, he was the guy for Detroit I would like. PJ at 10%. So there's some decent ownership. Again, Vooch is the highest owned guy in this game. LaMelo Ball, 6%. Fournier, 9%. Cody Zeller picked up 1% ownership. So, all right, guys, I am going to call it a night. Or not a night, but for now, I got to mess with my lineup a bit. I will be live in about 45 minutes for Thursday Night Football. If you guys are interested, check it out. Would really appreciate it. I do appreciate the support a ton, guys. We're over 300 likes. We had, again, almost 800 concurrent viewers once again. So thank you. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. I'll keep you guys updated. Again, I'll be live for NFL in about 45 minutes. So thanks again, and I will see you